Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be telling you guys about some of the books I read over this month. Sorry, my kitten. We had a pretty basic reading month. Usually I finish around a book every 3 to 4 days, which usually ends up being like a book a week, which is not bad. I am a student, I do go to school as well, and I also work, so I feel like that's pretty decent. I did want to read more, obviously, but I think 4 books was pretty good. We have 2 books that are in the same series, and then we have 2 standalone books. So the first book that we'll talk about is My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I talked about this book a little bit in my last video because I did a little reading vlog. Overall, I think I gave this book 3 stars on Goodreads. I liked it. I finished it, I feel like, in a decent amount of time. I was a little worried just because when it comes to books that are very, like, heavily internally narrated, I do lose interest, like, halfway through. I like dialogue, I like things to happen, but I feel like as I'm reading more, I'm kind of becoming more open to different genres and just different writing styles, and this one actually did really intrigue me. It didn't resonate with me personally. I know some people were saying that this is just a weird girl book. I honestly don't know what that means. I've never heard that term before, so I have to look into it. I did like the book though. It was really interesting to read it from this character's point of view, and to me it was just a little repetitive, and I didn't really like the main character, but I feel like that's kind of the point of the book, is to not like the main character. We read so many books where we like the main characters. I think this one was kind of to make you, I don't really know what the point of this book was, to be honest, but I would have to look into it. I know it has to have a point. I would have to look into it. But overall, I did enjoy it enough to finish it within a couple of days, and I think that is, it wasn't a bad book, it just wasn't for me. Like I said in my previous video, I resonated more with the friend than I did with the main character, but I think, once again, that was what the author was trying to do. Overall, 3 stars, 3 books. If you guys want to, you should read it. It is not a bad book by any means. It is just different. If you don't like a lot of internal monologue and kind of moping, repetitive, then you might not like it, but I think it is a pretty short book, so you should definitely give it a try, especially if you're trying to expand the types of books that you're reading. You might end up really liking it. Next book I read was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Okay, y'all, so when this book was released, I put a little notify me on my Libby so that as soon as the digital Kindle version was ready, I would be able to borrow it and read it. For some reason, my library doesn't have any V.E. Schwab books that I've seen. Like, I've gone in physically and I haven't found any V.E. Schwab books, and on the Libby app there are none. This is the only book that they had, so I was super surprised. I read it this month, so we did get access to it like a little bit later. There's already like a several month wait hold on this book, which is kind of crazy, but I had the notification set up. I got the notification when I was at work, and I literally was like, borrow, and then it was like, okay, you have a 2-week hold, which is fine because you're allowed to borrow the books for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, so that just means I'm like the next person in line. I was like, that's kind of crazy because I literally borrowed it as soon as I had gotten the notification, and then I got like another notification like 2 seconds later, and I was like, it's ready for you to download. And I downloaded it and I started reading it. I dropped everything I was doing and I started reading it then and there because, y'all, I was really excited to read this book. For one, I love vampires. For 2, V.E. Schwab does a really good job of, like I said, I am a very like dialogue heavy person, so V.E. Schwab's books are like the opposite of that as well. But I really like the way she's writing, and I know a lot of people felt kind of like iffy about this book, but I honestly really loved it. Like, I liked it more than The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I said it, I did. I liked it more. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm sorry if that tickles some people's feathers the wrong way, but I really did enjoy this book. I think a lot of people may not have liked that there were 3, that is my cat, that there were 3 different points of views. I will say that I didn't really like Alice's character. I didn't really like her involvement in the book. I felt like she was just kind of a means to an end between the 2 characters and their lifelong, decade-long, toxic love affair, I guess, basically, is what this book is. I liked Sabine. I liked Charlotte. Sabine, I really liked her because she was unapologetic in herself in the way that she was, and she kind of did go through a lot, and I also like how it was kind of set up from the beginning that this is the foreshadowing definitely was there about what was going to happen. I personally could not imagine spending hundreds and hundreds of years with the same person. I feel like I would go a little cuckoo bananas, but I really liked it. I really loved, especially like Sabine's first like introduction to becoming a vampire and like meeting all these different people. I loved the when she was in Venice, the vibes, like it just really resonated with me. That, and then also I really liked that we also had like the peak Bridgerton time period. I keep forgetting the time period that it is, but like I love that, the dresses, the courting, all of that. And then when her and Charlotte met and Charlotte's point of view was introduced, I was like, oh, what? And then you kind of get a little, and then you don't really hear it from Sabine anymore, but that's just kind of because of her personal journey that she's going through. I just really liked it. It was really good. I know a lot of people said it was slow, it was boring, they didn't get the point of it. The point is the vibes, okay? And it kind of just makes you realize, like, what are you willing to do if the person you love becomes like this crazy person? You know what I'm saying? My cat is really like just being crazy today. I don't know what to tell you guys. Anyways, I give this book 5 stars despite not liking Charlotte and her point of view and her storyline, her point in this whole story. I know she was a means to an end, because when Charlotte's point of view was I was kind of like, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? And then Alice was introduced and her narrative to the story was introduced, and I was kind of like, you're literally like, no, like literally was just there to tie it up like a ribbon. Anyways, still gave it a 5 stars despite that, because we really don't get too much of Alice's point of view. Like literally, like you read Alice's story and you're just like, why do I need to know about you and your sister? Why? You don't. But anyways, 5 stars regardless. And then the other 2 books that I read this month is A Torch Against the Night and then A Reaper at the Gates. So this is book 2 and 3 of An Ember in the Ashes. Oh my gosh, I was gonna say trilogy, but there's 4 books. So I have 1 more book left in this series. I probably will read it either this month or the next, just whenever I find myself at my local library, because they have all of the books there. Unfortunately, they don't have the 4th book on Libby, which is fine. So for A Torch Against the Night, I gave that one 4 stars. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. And then A Reaper at the Gates, I gave that one 4 stars. So I am going to spoil just a tad bit. Okay, I'm going to go into spoilers, because when I had tried doing a video on one of these books and I tried not to spoil it, I literally was just saying words and nothing was making sense. Basically, we are following still Laia, Helene, and Elias. And I did go really heavily into A Reaper in the Gates in my previous video, so if you guys are really interested in me and like my raw reactions as I'm reading the book, definitely go check out that video, because I ranted very heavily. I will say from the first book though, I was kind of like deterred, just because I didn't really, once again, it was super repetitive, and this author just has that like knack to be repetitive. I'm not gonna say like it's a negative thing, because I know some people might like it, or some people might think it's important to the storyline to be super repetitive. Me personally, I don't like it. Like you can remind me every so chapters, but in these, especially in The Reaper at the Gates, we are being reminded of these characters' flaws every chapter, and we are hearing them internally, basically just regurgitating what they said the last chapter about how insecure they are, about their insecurities. And it's like, okay, well, we remember because we know who you are as a character. Like, we already spent the previous 2 books, which by the way are like almost 500 pages long, with you, so we know who you are and we know what you're insecure about. And then not even just that, when these characters interact with each other, they also are reassuring each other on their insecurities. So it's a lot of reminders of their internal battles, while also what their goal and purpose is for that book. I will say though that I do like that she doesn't spend the whole book building up for the next book. Okay guys, I love Cassandra Clare, but when I was rereading her Mortal Instruments series, I was like, okay, this is kind of crazy that you have 2 books that are 400 pages long, and then the 3rd book is a 500-page long action-packed book. Literally the first 2 books are just build up for the 3rd book, and that really irritated me, so I did not finish. Once I read the 4th book and I realized it was just building up for the 6th book, I was like, you know what, I'm done. So that's besides the point, but it also goes into the point that at least we have a different plot and we have a different climax in every book of the series so far. And I only have one more book left, and I really do have to say that I love these characters, more so Helene and Harper. Which, by the way, I called that from like a mile away, and I feel like they should be the main characters, but it's fine. I am not too big on Laya and, oh my gosh, Kenan, Elias. I am not big on that love triangle, that relationship in general. The fact that they were trying to force Helene and Elias, don't like that either. But there is some yearning and all that fun stuff with Helene and Harper. I really like Helene, but once again, I would like her more if I just wasn't constantly reminded of her insecurities. But that's just my personal opinion. I still really enjoy the series. I am going to finish the series, and I may even go ahead and read her other series that I think she's currently writing. I'm not too sure. I saw it quickly on my Libby when I had clicked on her author page, and I saw all of her books. I did see there was another one there, and I think it's another trilogy. I'm not sure. I do like this author. I am going to continue reading her books, despite the things that I don't like about her books. They're still overall really enjoyable, as you can tell by my ratings of 4 stars and 5 stars. So overall, it was a very successful month. My lowest rating was 3 stars, which is not a bad rating at all. I don't know why people think 3 stars is a bad rating. It's not. And I finished all of the books that I had picked up this month, and honestly, that is a win, because sometimes I pick up books and I'm like, this sucks, why am I reading this? And I force myself to read it. Or I pick up a book that I'm really excited about and then I don't read it and I don't finish it. So overall, very successful month. So if you guys are interested to see what I'm going to be reading next month, definitely make sure to subscribe, like this video. It really helps me out just to know that people do watch and care, and I'm not just doing this for my sole purpose and entertainment, which sometimes it feels like I am, which is fine, and I'm rambling and ranting. But anyways, I can't wait to see you guys next time. Let me know what you guys read this month. I am really interested. I am always looking for books to add to my never-ending TBR, and I love to see what books my library has. So definitely recommend books that you guys have read this month. That would be good for the last couple of months of summer. Bye, guys!